Hello my friends, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to my Gig-Olos and Gigolettes. It's me, Gio. Y'all know who the fuck it is. Alright, we're gonna do a full breakdown. I'm gonna try to break down everything that happened today on essentially a 12-hour workday doing all Instacart. Did not plan on this being a 12-hour day. It just kind of happened, right? Those of you who are in the gig economy, you know, you can't really. It's impossible to plan. You can't be like, oh, I'm for sure gonna go out there and get 25 Uber and Lyft rides, make $200, go home, or I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna do Instacart from 5 to 7. Uber and Lyft till 10 a.m., you know, food delivery till whatever. I mean, you might have a plan, but it's probably not going to work out exactly as you wanted it to. Like today, my plan was to, you know, I was going to try to get batches for 20, 25, 30 minutes. If I didn't get any, I would run Lyft, all the while trying to tap for Amazon because I got 2 phones. So, yeah, but then, you know, this morning I put my Android on a charger because, like a fucking dumbass, I forgot to charge it yesterday. So I was charging my Android phone. It was like 6:10 in the morning. I started swiping for batches, and then out of nowhere, my day started today at 6:14 a.m. I got my first batch there, as you guys can see. Got accepted to 6:14. I didn't start it to 7:05. So what I did was I remember we usually feed the dog like at 6:30. So I'm like, okay, so I got to feed Pancake. You know, I fed the dog, and then I gave my girlfriend a kiss, and then I was out the door. Grabbed my cooler, and I was out the door. So that took me about 40 minutes to drive over there. Or not, it took me about 40 minutes to get there from when I got the batch. Not exactly the closest location to where I live, but when I saw the $90 batch, I just jumped on it. You know, it didn't really dawn on me that this maybe was going to be a rotten batch up until like I checked the units when I parked, and it was 120 units, and I'm like, fuck. I think it was actually 123. But I remember I told myself, like, fuck, this is going to be a 2-hour pick. You know, I knew it was going to be a 2-hour shop. So I started the batch at 7:05, and then I dropped off the groceries at 9:00. What does that say? I can't see with my shades. 9:08. So shop time, I think it took me about 1 hour and 35 minutes for 120 units. Some of them took me a long while to find. I'm not the best shopper. I've been more than honest about that. I'm really not that good at Instacart shopping. But the order was so big. The order was so fucking big that it took the cashier and the bag person 20 minutes to just scan everything and put in bags. And then luckily the drop-off was only 5 minutes away from the grocery store, so that was the least time-consuming thing. And Instacart actually tried stiffing me on this one. They actually almost didn't pay me my heavy pay. And I actually learned something interesting about Instacart today that I didn't know before, and I'll share that in a later video for my Instacart shoppers out there. So I mean, obviously there was supposed to be heavy pay included on that one, but here's the thing. Even if I lived 15 minutes away from this store, and let's say there was no tip, because, you know, not every customer tips on Instacart. You know, we know that. Not every customer tips. So if this order didn't have such a generous tip on it, this Instacart order would have been a bust, 100%. Because, I mean, maybe if you're a better shopper, maybe not. You know, if you're a much more gifted Instacart shopper, maybe it wouldn't be that bad. But like I said, for me, I'm not that great at this. So maybe a better shopper, 120 units at a store they're familiar with, could have taken an hour and 10 minutes. Then maybe not so bad. Then maybe you're looking at $100 for an hour and a half. Not bad. And that's including like getting there and dropping off the groceries if you're in the location too. So maybe even $100 for 2 hours if you were in the area wouldn't have been that bad. But the fact is, you know, what Instacart was paying for that order, $17.83 plus the heavy pay, $27 for an order that big. That's kind of bad in my opinion. Like, I don't know. I mean, I still would have taken it if it was $60 or $70. Obviously, 100 is way better than 60 or 70. But I don't know. What do you guys think? So I did that one, and then when I was swiping for batches again, I snagged a tiny Mariano's order. It was 21. I mean, it wasn't tiny, but I remember I saw the shopping list, and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a breeze. So I remember I drove to the Mariano's, dropped some heat, and then I started shopping. And then I started shopping the order, and I dropped it off. Yeah, shopping, it only took 10 minutes for this one, for 21 units, because it was like half of it was produce, the other half was frozen, a couple dairy items in there too. So I did that. That was easy. And then I remember immediately after I was done with that one, I started swiping again, and I got a Benny's order. And this is probably the order that fucked me the most today. This is probably the order that I probably shouldn't have taken in retrospect, because there was a lot of driving for this one. I accepted at 10:40, so an hour and 20 minutes later, I was $22 richer. But if you guys are looking at that screen there, it took me, I remember from where I was, it took me like 14 or 15 minutes to get to the Benny's. Shopping the order took a little bit longer because there was like a bunch of craft beer on it that I'm not familiar with. All these goofy high IPA craft beers. So that took a while to find, only to find out that it wasn't in stock. Fantastic. And then after I checked out, so at this point it's been about, let's just say 15 minutes since I accepted the order. It took 15 minutes going south from the Benny's to drop off the first customer's order, and then another 15 minutes going further south to drop off the next customer's order. So I drove more than I shopped for that order. So I mean, like I said, $22. It's $20 more than I had before I started the batch. But then I played the waiting game a little bit. I was swiping, and then I got this Aldi order. I accepted it at 12:14 p.m. And look at that, guys. It took me 30 minutes to drive to that Aldi. So it took me 30 minutes to get there from where I was. I remember I was pretty far south. I drove there. Shopping the batch only took me an hour and with dropping off, I remember shopping that batch took about an hour, and that's what the timer said on there. That's what the timer projected for it. And it took, obviously, you have to bag your own groceries at Aldi. Could you imagine that? 2020, we got to bag our own groceries. So this is a pretty big order too, 79 units. Took a while to bag all that up. I didn't have any boxes. I couldn't find any boxes in the store today. I mean, sometimes I usually just like rearrange the bananas or something and take a couple banana boxes. But I guess I just forgot. Maybe I was under-caffeinated or something. I think I was working on my second can of Bang at that point. So yeah, 12:14, dropped it off at let's just say 2 p.m. The customer actually added a tip to that one, as you guys can see. So instead of $31.73, they pretty much added $10. So that came out to pretty much $50 for 2 hours, but 30 minutes of that was spent traveling. And then I remember I was driving back down Route 83 because I'm telling myself, I'll take a batch, you know, but hopefully I get a big one around where I live. I actually took one south of where I live, pretty far south. I accepted the batch at 2:26 p.m. As you guys see there, again, 30 minutes later. You know, a lot of driving for these batches today. 30 minutes later, started shopping it. This is another big time order, 73 units. And then guys, I've been vocal about this before. I don't like shopping Tony's orders. I've done like 3. Tony's is my least favorite grocery store to shop. And for those who don't know, not all of you from Illinois, that's a grocery chain in Illinois. I actually met the owner of Tony's one time, and I thought I was going to get fired from my full-time job because of what I said to it. I'll save that story for another time. Let's just say I unintentionally insulted him, right? So that's a pretty funny story. And then on the way home, I told myself I'm not going to take any more batches, I took one Benny's order. It was super, I mean, look at this again. I accepted the batch at 4:56. I got there about 30 minutes later, and then dropped off the alcohol. Dropped off the alcohol at 5:54, and now I'm driving home. So pretty much right now it's 6:15 p.m. It's been roughly 12 hours. It's been exactly 12 hours and 1 minute since I left my place. And I'm about 8 minutes from home. So this was a 12-hour day. I'm gonna do something I haven't done in a while too. Right here is I'm gonna kind of give some other details. Right, so it's a 12-hour day, earnings wise. Since I didn't have any cash tips, you guys are seeing there $221, but it's not reflecting the $10 added to the first order. So $231.68 plus, let's just say 19, right? So that was a $250 day for for 12 hours and 600 milligrams of caffeine. I'm not going to tell you how many Newports I smoked. There's a few. And here's another thing I'm going to show you really quick. Where's my damn map app? I love this part. I love this feature of Google. It shows you how many miles you drove. And 105 miles. I know it's not, that's not counting, I don't think it's counting what I'm currently driving. So let's just go ahead and say 115 mile day. Yeah, long fucking day, man. But it was good. I stayed busy. I didn't make as much as I wanted to working 12 hours. But like I said, that's 12 hours from doorstep to doorstep, you know? So overall, I'm gonna call that a win. I know, like I said, some of you are gonna be like, oh, 250, I can make that in 7 hours. Awesome. I'm glad some of you can. But Instacart is definitely a combination of luck and skill, because if you're lucky enough to get the good batches, the well-paying batches, then that's where the skill takes over, and you have to be a good enough shopper to knock out those batches quickly, efficiently, and not piss off your customers in the process, like not replacing items, not refunding a bunch of items. So yeah, all right guys, that's all I got for this one. This was my 12-hour day running Instacart. Hopefully everyone out there is still making money during all this shit. And yeah, it was good. Oh, that's another thing. I'll include how many calories I burned on my Whoop app, because when you're doing shopping, you're moving around a lot. So I'll include that right here during this when I edit this video. And that's on my Android, so I can't check it right now. So I think it was about 2,100 when I last checked. So that's the one cool thing about I like about Instacart too, is like you stay active. You're not just sitting in a car all fucking day. You're actually like staying active and moving around, getting the blood pumping a little bit. So yeah. All right, guys, that's all I got for this one. I want to thank y'all for watching. Everyone, please stay safe, stay driven, stay healthy, stay classy. I'll talk to you next time.